Here's another one of those problems you could run into. That would be if the builder poured a concrete foundation a little larger than it needed to be. And this was actually something that was sent to me, a question. They're having problems. They have a situation like this where they have a concrete foundation and a block wall, so just be one row of blocks, and the foundation was poured a little larger, and they're actually having water leaking. It sounds like, so the water's coming off of the wall. They have siding, it's coming off the wall, rolling down here, and kind of hanging around this ledge, and the block, the mortar that connects the block to the foundation has basically separated, and there's a small gap. And when I say a small gap, it looks like it's a hairline gap, but it's allowing water to seep into their garage. The first thing I would like to suggest would be to run a bead of caulking where the crack is, or where the gap is, where the water could be seeping in. I would like to suggest a type of caulking, but do not want to get in trouble if it doesn't work, so I'm going to stay out of this one. You can head down to your local lumber yard or home improvement center and ask them. Let them get the blame if it doesn't stick. And again, it might need to be maintained, something like this. Caulking can separate, it can flake off, and if that's the case, it's going to need to be removed and reapplied, or you're going to need to apply more stuff, more caulking around the original bead of caulking. Now, if you're looking for a method that will prevent the water from pooling up on the ledge, you could always install a bead of mortar or a row of mortar, and this would help with that, and it would help protect the caulking. But keep in mind that if it's a small section of mortar, it could crack, it could separate from the brick, could separate from the concrete foundation. If this is the case, then you would need to install, you need to remove it, or and repair it, or put some more caulking or something along the gaps. But again, I don't want to give you an idea that you say, hey, this thing was going to work. I'm pointing out the good and the bad with something like this. So you could put the mortar on there and never have any problems at all, and that would be great. But if you do, at least hopefully I gave you a few of the problems that you might encounter. Another suggestion, and this might be a lot more work, would actually be to get a chipping hammer and chip the concrete foundation to where it's even, or even a little lower. Even if you chip the foundation an inch or two lower, the ledge would be down here where there wouldn't be a gap, so the water would actually flow off or down. You wouldn't have a ledge where the water would accumulate. So this wouldn't need to go all the way down to the ground. Like I said, a half inch or an inch. If you chipped it down, at least that would give it a little more, or that would lower the ledge where the water pools up on it. So I hope that makes sense. Next on the list would be to install a few beads of caulking and then put some Z-bar, some type of a sheet metal, in there, and this you'd basically seal the top of this. And this is the same method that they use for fireplace chimneys. If you build a brick chimney or something like that, they actually they use some type of a sealant to seal the metal that is going to be used for the roofing to prevent water from leaking in there. You can use something like this and seal the top of it. So you could always get some more information on how that is done through the chimneys. Now, another thing you could do is add some metal, or get metal that's long enough to go underneath the siding. And it would be nice to go underneath the paper also, the building paper. So this would allow the water to come off of the siding down here, and if it is going to pool up, it's not going to go into the gap. Here's my final suggestion. That would be to install the Z-bar or the metal, and then install another piece of Z-bar metal underneath. This metal would be shaped just like this, except it goes underneath the siding and the building paper. You got to try and get it underneath the building paper, and then install a trim board in there. And this again would be something if you're looking for something to be a little more aesthetically pleasing. And something like this should work just fine. The water would roll off of the siding, over, down, and then away. Any water that would roll back into here eventually would evaporate or soak into the wood. And for something like this, I'd recommend checking out some of my siding repair videos. I'm pretty sure I have it in there. It's always good to leave a gap here. Don't put this stuff tight on the ground. And you can see here that I left a gap here because you don't want water pooling up underneath the siding. So even if it's a 1/4 of an inch, the water is probably not going to raise up a 1/4 of an inch unless the metal is bent up. So give yourself a gap. Give yourself a gap here of at least a 1/4 of an inch, and make sure that debris doesn't get in it. It's not uncommon that people leave a gap like this, and then pretty soon they have dirt around the metal and the siding, and then the siding's ruined. So I know this isn't something you want to hear, but maintenance just might save you a lot of money. And of course, building the stuff right the first time is going to probably save you the most money. If this project was built correctly the first time, they would not need to do something like this. And these are the mistakes that cost you a lot of money, the homeowners. They might not cost the builder a lot of money, but they usually end up costing the homeowners a lot of money.